I'm Dr. Langley. This is my second video on death. I don't know if that's weird, but it's important to think about, especially in a medical setting, because often you go to the ER or you go in to have a surgery that you were expecting, and someone pops out of the blue and asks, "What's your code status?" And you're like, "What's the code status?" And then all of a sudden you need to have this big, like, literally life or death situation discussion with this person you've never met before, and think about really tough things right before you have lots of other things going on if you're having a surgery or you're in the ER, and this is not something that you were planning on dealing with today. But it is also important for anyone who works at the hospital to know about while they're taking care of you, just in case something bad happens to you. So what does a code status mean? So first of all, let me go into the truth about CPR. So cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Awesome way to save lives when your heart stops. And, on TV and in the movies, you do the compressions and do the breathing in the mouth thing, and the person comes back, and that's really cool. But that is not at all what happens in real life. I mean, who are the people that are mostly getting CPR? It's pretty rare to happen in young, healthy people for your heart to stop. I mean, sometimes if you get electrocuted, or if you're drowning, or if you're choking on something for too long, then your heart can stop, and CPR could definitely save your life in that time. So definitely worth pursuing and trying. And I'm never going to see someone down whose heart is stopped that I could do CPR on and not do CPR on that person, unless I know their code status is not allowing for that. So the truth is that CPR is really hard on the body, and if you're not really young and healthy, it might make things really difficult for you for a while. So if you are older or frail, or in general, I mean, if you've got other things going on medically where you're not sure you would be in good shape to recover from CPR, it might not be the best thing for you. And that's where the code status comes into play, is for you to have that conversation with yourself, with your loved ones, about whether CPR would be best for you, and laying it out for your care providers that you do or do not want CPR. There's even this intermediate method of doing cardiopulmonary resuscitation where you just inject the medicines in an IV and you don't do the pounding on the chest thing. You do the breathing because that's not so traumatic. But the pounding on the chest thing is really rough on your body. If you do it right, you're supposed to break ribs. Do you want to be in the hospital recovering from whatever caused this heart attack, your heart to stop, as well as multiple broken ribs? That's a rough thing to go through. And not everyone is in good enough health that would be a good thing. Sometimes it's good to say, hey, I'm in pretty good health right now, but I'm not in good enough health to recover from that. So if my heart stops, I just want you to let it stop. I have to go somehow. I have to go sometime. And that's what you do when you decide you are a code status DNR. That stands for do not resuscitate. You say, I don't want any part. If my heart stops, let me go. I've had a good life. Or if you want just a chemical code, you're saying, I don't want everything that you could possibly do for me. I just want the kind of gentler ones. If you can just bring me back with some medicine running through my veins, and that will restart my heart, because we're giving you things like epinephrine that will run through to your heart and could possibly restart it. That's why we bother doing it. So if that will bring me back, then cool. Otherwise, let me go. Or do you want to be full code? You want to have all the medicines, all the pounding on your chest for 15, 30 minutes to bring you back. I want you to do everything you can. That's full code. So this is something to think about before you're in that ER situation, before you're having that surgery, so that you can be prepared to know your answer before someone even walks in to ask it. Because it's a hard conversation. I mean, if you don't know what any of this means, it's a hard conversation to be having. Well, oh, by the way, you also need to be rushed in to have your appendix taken out. It's not a good time to be thinking about this. So that's why I'm doing this video, because honestly, I've done CPR 3 times on people not in the hospital, just came across them and was doing CPR on them. And none of them lived. And I don't think that's just because I'm bad at CPR or something like that. It's just not a great way of bringing people back. And all 3 of them, I'm not really surprised that they died. I followed up with a hospital afterwards. One was a motorcycle accident on the side of the road. One was an individual who just fell over and died in the middle of church. I mean, these are people that were seriously injured or seriously old, and this was their time. And I will always remember them. They're people that I think about on a regular basis, and pray for them, and hope that they're in a better place now. But it is something that is not fun to do, but I will do to try to bring someone back no matter what. So how about in that sort of situation? What are you supposed to do if you don't want to be resuscitated, but you're found down and someone comes up and does CPR? I've even heard of people getting tattooed on their chest, on their sternum, because you have to peel away all the clothes to do the chest compressions correctly. Have tattooed on there, DNR, do not resuscitate, to make it clear to anyone who is about to do CPR that nope, they've thought about this and they do not want to have this possibly life-saving measure, but definitely that trauma to their bodies. So things to think about. Hope you enjoyed this video. You might also benefit from that one. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. Thanks.